You have for sure heard about the one tile challenge. As long as city building games have been around, people have been attempting to build cities with huge population in tight spaces. But with City Skylines 2, it appears like not many people have done that. I mean, look at your favorite creators. City Planner Place built a one-tile city with 2,600 population. It's beautiful and was built in only 1 hour, but for sure one can fit more people. Biffa also did it in a 1 hour format, fitting 3,000 people, and the Real Civil Engineer fit 12,000 people. I love all of you guys, but what is the actual limit one can achieve without using mods? Just a vanilla game. Let's find out on this map. Of course, we can't start here in the beginning, since these are 9 tiles. We need to buy a tile of our own, and to save space, I'm just gonna choose one here right at the edge. Let's buy it, and in case you're wondering, I am playing with everything unlocked, so we can immediately start with high density buildings. But first, let's do one more optimization step by making this entire tile flat, and just like that we have our buildable area. Let's start with some streets as close to the edge as we can, all the way around the map. We have it here, and if you're wondering about this tiny edge right here, I have a very special use case for that later on. With that basic road layout, we need a grid. And the best way to do that is not by using a regular zoning like this with a lot of space. I mean, look at that, imagine people had this much space, but to actually build the grid tighter, such as this one, so we can fit 4 2x2 housing units right here. Let's quickly build it out further. Here we go, this is the beginning, and we know what would City Skylines 2 be like without any of these annoying zoning mishaps. But maybe we can make use of these areas for some special buildings. For now, let's just start zoning and get the first people in here. We're immediately gonna use high density housing and then zone just like this. And of course, start the time. As soon as buildings are built in, we can zone the rest of that grid. And that way we won't have the case where really large buildings will spawn in. And look at that, there's trucks using these entrances, just entering on one of these lanes and exiting on the next. Very great traffic AI paradox, very great. I mean, currently these trucks are incredibly unnecessary. Why? Look at this one. Why would you enter the city just to go along here and exit on one of the next ones? But we can ignore that. We have our first 2 citizens in the city living on some of these towers. Here they are moving in, great to see. Now we also need high density businesses. We can just spread them in between and maybe even some industry, but I realize I just messed up with the wind direction. So I guess we're gonna keep it really to a minimum with industry and rely on office jobs. It might be that later in the video we will remove industry as a whole again, but we'll see how that goes. First, they will for sure provide some jobs. And as far as the wind direction is okay, we can have them zoned in here. Next up, people want all the basic services. And here we can now make use of some of the messed up grids. Or I guess I would like to, but a water tower doesn't fit into one. A wind turbine would fit, but all that is technically space that we could use for people. Why can't we just import and export water as well as electricity? Does that work? Can you import electricity from these small power lines? Probably not. So we're going to need a transformer station. Let's delete some roads here, make some space. Here we go. Underground connection to the outside. And now the city has all the basic services and we're already up to 200 people. So next up, let's also fill some office demand and more of these high density buildings. Traffic is really picking up, but that means our city is growing. I'm just building out all these massive chess style grids. High density businesses seem to be really popular right now, but they are complaining about high resource costs. They're struggling to stay profitable. I'm not gonna do anything about that for now. And we also really don't need to because we just turned barely profitable. Nothing much happening yet in the city budget. We're getting taxation mostly from commercial and residential, but everything is growing and going well. Next up, we have the first people complaining about death care. So let's also make some space to fit in a crematorium. Just right here, I tried rearranging some things, but nothing really fit well. So some of these problems should be fixed soon. But now already the population is unhappy and therefore shrinking. So let's fix all the problems they have. High crime risk. We throw in a police station. Next up, lack of entertainment. I'm not 100% sure how one can get entertainment, but these outdoor gyms have the perfect size for our city. We can just plop them in between these buildings and they provide perfect service coverage. Now there's an abundance of entertainment. Unreliable healthcare coverage. Let's try for the urban medical center. I hope that it has a great ratio of capacity to size. It's relatively small, and by the way, the asset looks really great. And then to keep people from moving out even more, for now let's drop taxation to 0, at least for residential. Then let's also throw in some education with a city elementary school. Next, there appears to be unreliable internet coverage. We can easily fix that with just one radio mast here in the middle of the city. And I know post will also become problematic at some point, so let's get in at least a post office that covers the entire tile itself, and then we just speed up time again and watch as our city grows. It's growing at 300 people an hour, not too bad. And let's also expand the grid style zoning we have. Just like that, the city is now expanding ever more quickly. We're up to 2,000 population, growing at 500 an hour. The happiness is at a maximum, with the only negative modifiers being small homes and high noise pollution. Both of these we really won't be able to change, but it's still enough for the maximum happiness score. And budget-wise, we're still crazy negative, but since we're only losing 400k a month, which is really not too much, we will definitely survive for a long while, and I think long enough for us to create a bunch of the other revenues. Things are looking really great. Every once in so often I get demand back for high density buildings, and now we can actually verify. So if I were to build a larger building, such as this one, it gets really big, and once completed, it can hold 90 people. One of these smaller residential buildings can hold 30 people. It's pretty constant around the lot, and we can fit 4 in one of these squares, so that's 120 people instead of 90. Sure, it upgrades a bit with every level, but I'm somewhat confident that these smaller buildings hold more people. But we can make an experiment with this. Let's have one row of larger buildings here, or just 2 of them, and we will compare it to the rest as the video progresses longer. For now, the demand bar is really pushing high, so we need to continue zoning. Sometimes we can even make larger buildings when we have some of these weird plots. There it makes sense to do so. And now in these first 3 to 4 rows, we have zoned every small tile there is. Taxes are growing. I'm seeing offices are starting to have a more important share, but if we look at one of them, we can see they're running at 95% efficiency, partially because they don't have enough employees, and their problem is that they're missing the high educated people. So to get these highly educated people, I mean, we have an elementary school, but we are gonna need better schools. Let's go for a university. All this bottom row here will be services then. Let's put it right down here. Currently it doesn't have many students, but it should help with office profitability. And I guess to get people into university, we will also need a high school. Everything down here is education. Oh, and then I just saw this hole here I left over. I did not make use of that yet. I promise this will make sense once it will turn out to be economical when the city is bigger, but right now doing something here would not yet be profitable. So I went on zoning more and more, and I realized one error I've been doing from the beginning of this video. This road layout right here is not the most efficient one. It is more efficient if we don't use the grids with no crossroads, but instead just zone on these tiles without any crossroads. We can do the same zoning and we have more space since we don't lose valuable tiles through roads. So this changed my strategy from only having crossroads every once in a while to only have one more crossroad in the city and zoning up the rest in the small grid pattern. And if we check back in with the towers, this one has upgraded to level 2. Now it fits 120 people. A level 2 smaller tower fits 90 people. That would mean that it makes no difference whether one builds a small or a big tower. Then why have I been doing this the entire time? I was sure that I read somewhere that this is more efficient. But we're gonna continue strong anyway with some newfound strategies. For now, I'm just gonna zone up the entire city. By now I have zoned up almost everything, and taking a look at our experiments, we can actually see, so this tower is now at level 3, holds 144 people. If we look at a tower next to it, this one is also at level 3, it has 36. 36 times 4 is also 144, so it makes no difference whether you zone small or big with homes. But like, look at this grid, look at all these taxis. I mean, this really looks amazing, and it is literally everywhere around here. A massive gridlock. There's even a bus. Where are you going? To some other city. I don't even have a bus line. Population is growing at 13k, so behind here I set just larger buildings. But this one now is too large, I think. It only holds 144. Oh, I guess, but at level 1, that's perfectly fine. And since it doesn't make a difference in how many people we have that here, 13,000, we're growing fast. Money-wise, we're almost back at breaking even. And it's crazy, at 13,000 population, we only pay 3,000 to export sewage. That's really not that much. I mean, imagine we build a sewage pump that would cost 10k a month. It would really not be worth it to do that. What I'm wondering though, I feel like these homes are not really upgrading as fast as I would like them to. So if we take a look at statistics, that might be because unemployment is at 40%. It's really large, and I guess that could be due to education. But we have 1,000 people at university here, that's great. And that even means we're making profit with education. So I wouldn't want to change anything here. We're even making profit with water and sewage? How can this be? I'm importing all my water and sewage and I'm making profit from the fees? Why would you ever build a water tower if you can just import it for lower than you get fees? Can this be right? That's insane. I thought that importing water would cost money, but importing water actually makes you money. It's bad to build sewage towers. Well, water towers and sewage outlets. But this is actually what this edge here was supposed to be. I wanted to put a sewage outlet here to dump it down this cliff. But if I'm making profit from exporting my sewage, there's no point in doing that. So I guess instead, let's put a small chirper park right here. Then maybe people can enjoy that. And we just turned profitable. Amazing. And remember, our taxation for residential is still at 0. Our office profitability is going up and up. And we are not using a single of these special buildings, which give well-being and other bonuses. I think that would be cheating. You can probably achieve this way faster and higher population if you use them, but we don't really need to use them. Also, there was never a single fire in the city. I have a police station, but not a fire department. People just don't care at all. And I also don't have garbage service. People don't care. So let's ignore it until people do care. We have a bunch of all this area zoned. We're just waiting for people to move in, which may be slow here due to the traffic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and simulate for a while. A bunch more buildings have been built, especially of this wide variety that I truly have not really seen that often before. I didn't really know they existed. They hold a lot of people and they have quite an interesting design. We don't have much more space left in the city. There's still a lot of room for offices to grow. But then these last few areas we need to allocate with a lot of focus. You now have people complaining about garbage piling up, and garbage facilities are quite large. I don't really have space to fit them. But there's a policy we can use. It's this one, import city services. Let's activate. That gives us police, healthcare, death care, garbage management, fire and rescue services. If we take a look now, fire, everything is red, but that should change soon. Garbage is already great. So there's tons of garbage trucks now piling into the city. They will pick up all the garbage. Police station I have myself. Apparently it also gives health and death care. So I'm wondering, this policy is crazy expensive, but I should be able to turn off the crematorium as well as the healthcare center. That should save on some of the expenses, also the police station, and people should still have the maximum amount of happiness, even though the service trade, I mean, 1 million in police service each month is a whole lot. The garbage one is worth it, but that one costs only 105k. All that is kind of a stupid mechanic if you ask me. But oh well, we're making 300k from education and 13k from water services, which is just water that we import and resell. Now let's take a look at healthcare. So I think there are people around here picking up the sick people. That's good. Hearses are on their way. Yeah, everything is working well, apart from that it's crazy expensive. I think by now we have filled all the homes that we have zoned, but happiness went back down. I'm not sure if we should keep this policy or rather make space for maybe a recycling center. I'd guess that the recycling center is the way to go, but I have to demolish so many homes for that. But I can't accept unreliable healthcare coverage, negative benefits. So let's activate back up our services, disable this crazy useless and expensive policy, reset the service budgets. I am going to get a small fire station while we are at it, and then we need to find a place for either a recycling center. Yeah, that's the smallest one. I could place it down here, but the wind direction would not be favorable because it would blow all the wind towards the city. So what I need to do is place it up here or at the bottom here. I'm gonna go with this side, but that means we need to make space for new housing over here. Let's first start zoning some high density, and then we can take a look where to place some more roads next. I'm gonna go like this, zone even more residential, because I'm going to have to dezone a lot right here, probably even more. Let's just see a recycling center. It can just barely fit, just like that. We got one in. Let's add another road, build some protective offices around it, as well as more residential. That way we are covering garbage without the crazy expenses. A lot of the stuff is zoning in, so let's make use of some of the unzoned areas, but there's not really many more left. Let's fill up every place we got. We're back to the maximum of happiness. You can also see on the screen there's tons of people walking. I mean, more here on this intersection. And now let's see where else we can squeeze in homes. Some more could fit here, but I need to make sure that the zoning is on the right side of the street. That gets us a bunch more homes, and then the same right here. Maybe offices zoned faster. I guess unemployment is still close to 40%. And let's do one last check if everything is really zoned. We can't lose any space in the city. That's a park. Every single small bit is truly zoned or has some building on it. The elementary school is packed. We can upgrade that even with a park on it. University is quite full. High school is doing well. Firehouse is doing okay. Police station is doing great. Some of our buildings are close to hitting level 4, but so far everything is good. I think the population will still grow a fair bit, with a few homes can still zone. Where are all these people coming from? Where are all you going? I'm not so sure, but some of these buildings are gonna be changed to offices since they zone fast and we need jobs. That now means that there's everywhere a building. The recycling center is going strong as well with all these buildings next to it. Looks quite funny. We're up to 22,000 population. I think we can get up to 25. Let's run another time lapse and see what happens. The city is now close to 30,000 population. It works perfectly well, it is self-sustaining, there are no real issues here. Profitability is really great, even though taxation is still at 0%. We're making most of our money from office taxes. The buildings are at level 4, some a bit lower, some a bit higher. So the city still has a bit of room to grow. I'm guessing this city can probably reach 33,000, 34, 35,000 population, and a one-tile city as a whole might actually be able to reach 40,000 population if you play everything right. We found some things in this video that can be optimized. For one, these smaller buildings actually might not be a good choice since it requires more space for roads, and again, if we check, this tower has 300 residents, where the smaller tower has 40. So these larger buildings are definitely better. I think that as far as I have seen, this is now the most populated one-tile city in City Skylines 2. If you have seen or you see any other city that was built that has a higher population, please let me know. I'd love to take a look at it. Do you have other things we should try? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and happy gaming.